This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to a review of the two Insomniac Spider-Man tie-in books. This is going to be Hostile Takeover for Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales, Wings of Fury. Don't have too much to say about both books, so I decided to put it together into one video. And starting off with the events of Hostile Takeover, that's easily the better of the two books. It ties in really well to the first game with Peter trying to take down Wilson Fisk, although it doesn't show him getting the evidence he needs to take Fisk down. It shows the story of him going against Fisk and taking a major blow against him. It introduces the characters of Echo and Blood Spider into the Insomniac universe, and also shows some important things that happen during the event of before the first game. That includes the breakup between Peter and MJ, and just getting a look into stuff that took place just before. Even you get the first canonical appearance of Harry, where you get his first real lines of him in person with Peter, and even it's set right before his trip to Europe, and that happens during it, so it's set just about like I think it was like 8 or 9 months before, at least partially before the events of the first game, and the ending scene is the opening scene to the first game. But it does a good job. I think that Fisk is great in this, and Echo is a great secondary character who eventually figures out what Fisk is. Blood Spider is interesting, but that's probably the weakest part of it. Although he's kind of cool, it's nothing too interesting with him, at least in my opinion. Oh, we also get an important thing of Peter's first team up with Yuri and how he builds that relationship with her. That was a real interesting thing. There's one thing I honestly think they probably shouldn't have included is him meeting Jefferson Davis just for like a minute. Sure, he doesn't remember his name, but it's heavily implied in the game that this is their first meeting. Maybe there was a slight change in the game's story that retcons this, because besides that, really, it seems that everything seems to fit really well into the events of the first game and ties in super well. There's no crazy insane thing to happen like there is in the Miles book, which I'll begin to in just a second, but yeah, it's honestly kind of interesting, and it gets pretty good where Peter helps expose what Fisk did to Echo's father, and everything else is pretty interesting. It was a cool story, but not the greatest thing ever, but it was a fun, solid story, and that is something I cannot really say about the next one being the Miles Morales one. So let's go into that. And Wings of Fury is honestly, it just jumps the shark. It is way too convoluted and something that feels way too big to have happen off screen and never be mentioned. But also, I feel like even if there wasn't that, I'm fine with it not being mentioned, but it feels like they jump the shark and go way too insane with this, and also have like the worst possible message in it. Some good things is you get some good looks at Miles. You get it fully from his perspective and a first person point of view. That's pretty interesting. You also have him facing a villain that isn't too overpowered and someone who's a good start off villain, which is good until we get to the utter insanity of the zombie bird apocalypse that they have to prevent. This just feels like it went way too far, Everything else is at least grounded in reality in the other games. In the first one, we have a virus being released. In the second one, we have an unstable energy that could be used to poison people or destroy a good amount of Harlem. And in the third one, we have a good old fashioned alien invasion. But with this one, it just feels like they're going way too overboard with this. It feels like they just jumped a shark and kind of went off the rails. And if this is trying to set up the events of the game, which has nothing related to besides Genki figuring out who Miles is and having him move to Harlem, which doesn't even explain why his grandmother leaves because she isn't there anymore by the start of the video game. She's moved to, I believe it was Puerto Rico, but honestly, this was, it was just honestly insane. It totally feels like they jumped the shark in this zombie bird thing that people are turning into. It was just stupid. And that's only my second greatest problem with the story. My first is that they're making it seem like it's a wrong thing for people who want to cure cancer because the group in this that the vulture wants revenge on, first, he has the stupidest reason for wanting revenge on them, which is they didn't tell him what cancer treatment he was given, and it was said that he gave his full consent knowing that, and now is just mad that they didn't tell him, even though they did cure him from cancer. And they literally created a cure from cancer, which we can assume was lost when this company was put out of business by Vulture, since the entire plot of Spider-Man 2 was started off by Craven having cancer and him wanting to have a worthy death. So we literally have just like one of the worst things, and they're trying to make this company, which we are shown nothing they could have done was just wrong, and everything is through a warped perspective of bad guys. Even the one person who said they took his father clearly has a different opinion, and it seems like he was either too young to figure out what was going on, or misinterpreted the situation and thought that she was taken away, but he just really misinterpreted it because there is literally nothing in the book to indicate there's anything bad about this company, and they're trying to make them look like they're bad guys, and now heavily imply that this company, who did one of the greatest, probably most noble things anyone could do in today, curing cancer, making them seem like a bad guy for absolutely no reason, and putting something like that into a world and then getting rid of it. It's honestly just kind of pathetic, and it's not like Lex Luthor like curing cancer just to prove he can and not giving it to anyone because he's that petty of a person. It genuinely seems like this is a good company and they just got screwed over by a villain who didn't like them, and they got destroyed for doing one of the greatest things that someone could probably do in the real world. They like genuine heroes in this, and they're made to look like bad guys, and I really, really did not like that. But yeah, honestly, that's all I really have to say. I think you can clearly tell I did not like the second book. Some of the stuff was decent, but I think especially Miles being able to turn Vulture's granddaughter to be on his side and help him with the cure, but just everything around it and the fact that the two Vulture henchmen totally got away with it. Miles even wondering if he's going to see the guy who just committed terrorism again, and and he's not saying he's gonna arrest him or anything. He's like, I hope we see him again at Feast. It's honestly insane, and this book was just really bad. If I didn't get it for 99-cent credit on Audible, I probably would have just refunded it, just like Rise of the Red Blade from last year. But it's 99 cents, and it's honestly really not worth going through the refund process. So, yeah, honestly, the Miles one was really bad. The Peter one's honestly really good, and the Miles one sounded like it could have been interesting, but it was just a giant disappointment. Yeah, everything about Miles was interesting. Oh, also, I think it was really dumb how Genki figured it out because it seems like Miles actually trusted him and told him, and it was just he had to save him and forgot to put his mask on. Honestly, it was just really dumb, even though they made a point in the beginning that he always puts his mask on first to make sure that if he is sighted, no one can tell who he is. But yeah, honestly, oh, also, it also seemed like they had a really bad idea of the timeline because a few days passed over this, and they keep referring to an event happening the last night, even though like 2 or 3 days have passed. So someone also didn't just like proofread the entire book. And yeah, honestly, sometimes I might not check something that I do, but I'm a small time YouTuber and not even making money off of this. This is a book written by professionals and checked by professionals, so they couldn't even check the timeline on this, which is honestly just really sad. But honestly, it's really all I have to say. I don't want to know what you think, though. Have you read either of these? If not, don't check the Miles book out. It is bad. But I want to know what you think. Please leave in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.